want to put that backboard, I want to center up my coordinate system, but I actually think that I want to go with that coordinate system just right in the middle altogether. I don't have to, but that's how I'm going to do it, because I want to practice on developing a new plane. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put some dimensions on here. This one was 48, and this was 10. Okay. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn that into an extruded boss base. And right now it's going to the front side, I believe. Let me get that up to dimension. And I want my coordinate system to stay out front, so I'm going to just go ahead and flip that and build material to the back. Okay, so now you can see my coordinate system is sitting right there on the front surface, right in the middle. Okay, what's next? What do you want to build next? Spline or shade?
Spline.
Okay, so we'll build spline next. Okay. Splines are sort of interesting little creatures, so let's go ahead and get in there and start putting one of these in. So we already know that we need to be 6 inches off of the end in order to draw our spline. But what are we going to draw our spline on?
One of the side planes, probably.
Okay.
Right plane.
So we've got a plane here right now. We've got a top plane here. We've got a front plane. But where do we really need a plane if we're going to draw this?
So should we add a plane 6 inches over?
Yeah, so we need a plane 6 inches from the end. So you guys know that you have the option to create additional reference geometry, and I can just offset that plane 6 inches, and it's already in there for me. Okay, so now I can draw my spline out from the side on that plane. So I'm going to go ahead and just make a sketch. And what two things, this is actually what type of, we're going to make a spline, but what type of feature are we actually going to be creating? A sweep, yeah. So we need two things, profile and path. So we're making the path for this one. Okay, so I'm going to show you the sort of quick and dirty way to do the spline, and then I'm going to show you how you might put some more constraints behind it. So here's your spline tool, and we know that we're going from the origin, and we've got a shape that looks something like this. So you click, click, and then hit escape, okay? Otherwise, we could make this as curvy and as organic as we want. And Daniel and I were just discussing that neither one of us use splines very often, just because in mechanical design, unless you're getting into surfaces that are sort of organic or complex, you tend not to use a whole lot of splines. So we tend to use arcs, lines, fillets, things like that, but tend not to use splines very often. But it's good for you to know how to use them. Okay, so when you click on this line, you get these double-sided arrows, and as soon as I move it, you'll be able to see there's also a little diamond there. So this arrow represents the intensity of the curve. So I'm going to move these around, and then I'm going to delete it. So if I change this, if I drag on this arrow, it's changing the intensity of that curve. If I drag on the diamond, it's changing the angle, okay? And you can see down here that here are those numbers. So you've got an angle, and so I could input that angle as well, okay? And then if I change the intensity here, you can see that those numbers are changing as well. For the purposes of this lab, you will want to change the angle but not the intensity, okay? And I can do the same thing up here. I can change that intensity. Again, With splines, they're just very organic. Sometimes you're looking to get a shape that looks right versus something that has more math behind it, okay? So, now that I've changed this, I'm gonna go ahead and delete that. Okay, so let me put that back in. And let's go ahead and put some dimensions behind these points. And I would say dimension to your outer point first, because if you dimension your inner point, it's going to blow up on you. So we've got 9 inches here. So you can see I'm fully constrained now, but if you look at Jennifer's drawing, I don't look quite the same, do I? So that's really the angle at work there. So what I'm going to go in and do now is I'm going to adjust the angle on these. So if I click on that, I can drag it, right? And I could drag it to close to 0. I could put the number in, that's probably 180. Okay, so now I've got on the drawing, and how you know how to do this is on the drawing, it says it's a 3-point spline from left to right, so 1, 2, 3, and it's 30 degrees off of vertical here is the angle, horizontal, horizontal, so that means flat here and flat here. So this one here, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to move that diamond, and it's going to be coming close to flat. Again, I can probably get close to whatever is that. It might be 0, it might be 180. And then again here, you'll have to do a little bit of math, but this is probably negative 120. Okay, so whatever makes sense where it's measuring from, you're just going backwards or forwards around the circle. You're trying to get to some 30 degree off of vertical. Okay, so now this looks a lot more right like what we were planning to draw. Okay. All right. Any questions about that's the quick and dirty way? Yes.
Yeah, when it's on the directions versus left to right, does it literally just mean we draw it from opposite side?
No, I would still draw it from here. You don't have to. It's just they're telling you from left to right it's 30, 0, 0, as opposed to just saying it from right to left it's 0, 0, 30. So they're just letting you know which direction they're going, giving you the values. But yeah, this is 30 degrees, flat, and flat. Okay. So we could exit out of here. And then we could go ahead and use this to make our swept boss base, and bless you. And the nice thing here is we could do a circular profile here, and then we don't even need a profile path. So I can choose that path, and then I can input 0.75 as the circular profile, and be done with it. So if you want to sketch the circle in, and use both sketches, that's fine, but you also have the opportunity just to use one sketch when you have a circular profile. Okay? All right. So let's show it the other way. I'm going to suppress that one and show you the more difficult way. Not more difficult. It's probably more robust. Okay. I can do construction lines in here, so a center line is also considered a construction line, okay? And I can go ahead and set up those dimensions on my construction lines. Okay, all right, now I can go ahead and my spline is driven by by these construction lines instead. And so I can go ahead and click on those points to